Hello there. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that you are here, that you are watching, and most importantly, that you crave for knowledge. Well, knowledge I have plenty, because my experience is vast, and my eyes are everywhere. I can be everywhere. So let us take a look at this channel, the JayJanVerse, our JayJanVerse. For you see, you have stumbled yourself upon a heaven of a story that all resides in this very universe. So let's dive on in and start the story of JayJanLee. In this world, almost everyone looks exactly the same. To some it's a known fact, to some it's an everyday occurrence. Even though some may be aware, it's an indisputable fact that leads to JayJanVerse. This is due to an ancient war, and most importantly, how it ended. The Son of God had fallen in battle, and I was struck with grief. It was a selfish action, I must admit. But I ended up planting a still beating heart in the soil of earth. That spawned a tree that was meant to birth a reincarnation. And it did. But it wouldn't stop. After the reincarnation, another one came. And then another one. And then one again. And then one that looked slightly different, but still kinda in the same wavelength as the rest, but you know, most of them looked exactly the same. The mortals were born that day, and they all resembled my fallen child. But only one was the true reincarnation. So let's start from the beginning. It all started with a simple competition, a tournament. Only the people that were there in person can recall the events that transpired. To you guys, they were mere snippets. Captain Goku against Leeland, Jason against Anime Power, the fights that kicked off our world. There's hair in my mouth. The tournament was meant to establish the one and true universal leader, UL for short, a relic of judgment to accompany the UL in his victory. Jason was victorious, but trouble was waiting around the corner, as Anime Power wasn't happy. It became a semi-final rematch, Jason against an angry Anime Power. Two opposite fighting styles, colliding in a way that they should have never been collided. Jason's energy and the concept of Anime Power's will created a big bang. A big bang of raw energy and concepts will shape the JayJanVerse as we know it today. A chosen one was lost in the crossfire. But more I cannot say just yet. The UL tournament will surely have its full adaptation in due time. But for now, we must move on. If you're confused on why I'm reading so many words on one page, don't worry about it. I'm God, that's what I do. Years passed. 90 to be precise. And Jason has had a questionable run as the UL since that moment. He lost many things at that time, which made him vulnerable for invasion. Disguised as a pillow, an anomaly took over Jason's body and haunted his mind with nightmares. This anomaly is known as Darkson. Jason had lost much power in that fateful battle, so he was too weak to fight it. When Jason finally reached his breaking point, Darkson dragged and trapped him in his own black space. This space is one and the same with the anomaly, but with Jason's inclusion the space formed itself into a black and white illusion of his world. However, that wasn't the only thing Darkson's space created. Apparently, due to a mixture of two similar souls entering the anomaly space, a balance was created. One part Jason and another Darkson. A new person was created by the space who chose to aid Jason in his quest for escape. We now know this aid as none other than Funky Bro. Yes, Funky Bro, the green-haired dude. I'm so serious. Once they laid their hands upon the relic they were searching for, Funky Bro bid his farewell as he knew that losing any one of the similar souls would mean he'd lose his own life as well. The reason Jason was even able to get this relic was due to an interference. Darkson was held up by someone Jason lured in. Beastmaster 44. A hitman who had been out for Jason's blood for a while now, mistook Darkson for Jason as he tried to kill him. Only this ended badly for the hitman, and he was taken out with relative ease. After Jason made it before Darkson, they battled it out. After the battle between Jason and Darkson, Jason landed a precise shot with his dolphin relic. If you don't know, the Judgment relic is shaped like a dolphin, that's kind of a thing here. Jason knew how to use it, since this dolphin gun was the same relic of Judgment he won in the tournament, all those years ago. Why was it here? Why was it even the same relic? One thing was for sure though, it responded to Jason all the same, and the relic of Judgment weighted Darkson's soul. That's when Darkson exploded, and Jason was freed from his space, or at least, so he thought. Having made it out of the space, someone was waiting for Jason. The person waiting for Jason was Jason, but from an alternate universe. Back in Darkson's weird space, Jason was temporarily saved by an object. A ball, to be more specific. Does this remind you of anything? That's right. Darkson had a similar meeting with Jason, as that ball was in fact the Jason that's currently standing in front of R1. It seems that laying contact with these possessed objects doesn't bode well for our universe leader. But more on that, I'm yet unable to reveal. Getting back to the conundrum at hand, Jason was in a pickle. Having just escaped from Darkson's space, he was worn out both physically and mentally. This made him easy pickings for the other Jason who took his life right then and there. Jason's unleashed energy drifted along the breeze. The new Jason, seemingly having taken revenge for something, took our Jason in his place and became the impersonating UL. Only, taking the UL role isn't as easy as killing the former one. Oh no. He may have become the UL in status, but not yet in spirit. Those who were closest to our Jason saw it on first glance. However, the world didn't stand still while Jason was battling the anomaly. For one, a certain seller of the alarm earbuds and the teleportation wristband went missing after one of his wristbands failed. Where did he go? We don't know yet. But what we do know is that around this time, someone else was slowly making a name for himself. The clickbait hunter. Yes, it's him. It's time. Ask yourself the question, if almost everyone looks the same, what stops a person from faking an identity? Surely, all they needed to do was simply change their clothes, right? That's how the clickbait hunter started his journey, hunting down the residents of Leeland that lie and cheat the system of the universe. His name spread throughout Leeland and even got the attention of Beastmaster 44, a familiar name that is yet again dug up. This was indeed before he was lured in by Jason. But why? Why did Beastmaster 44 resemble such a blind hatred for Jason? Well, the original Jason made a lot of enemies during his UL run, but more on those two later. Let's return to this imposter Jason, that's currently still acting as the original Jason. It gets a bit confusing, But, you know, pay attention. Ever since taking on Jason's spot, it has been pretty smooth sailing for him. There weren't a ton of problems he had to deal with yet, granting him a pretty comfortable life in JayJanLee. That is, until he found something shiny in his backyard. What he found was a championship belt. Of course, Jason put it on. What could go wrong? Well, everything. The belt was brim full of strong energy that tried taking over Jason's mind. And you know what? It succeeded. But only for a few minutes. In those minutes, however, he took out a traveling cowboy who wanted to warn him about the belt. Who was he? Where did he come from? Well, his last name was Jackson, and he has been the original Jason's ally for a time now. He must have not been aware he was talking to an imposter. Jackson's life was lost, which made Jason snap out of the belt's power. Knowing this could be bad for his UL reputation, he tried to flee, but got caught by the mysterious belt. That's when he came walking out of the shadows, picking up the belt he himself planted there and teleported to a forest in JayJanLee. We are talking about a returning anomaly, Darkson. That's right, he survived. Does this mean Darkson isn't so bad after all? Did the Relic of Judgment perhaps spare Darkson? These are questions I'm unable to answer right now. So I'll leave you with this. The universe remembers all. Your internal energy is like an ID card for the universe. The Relic of Judgment, after having been fired, weighs everything about your existence, and its decision is absolute. And just for extra information, this obviously also means Funkerbro hasn't ceased to exist, so that's why he's still here, roaming around, being a news reporter. He decided on becoming that. I can't fault him for it. You do you, boo. But back to our topic at hand. Ever since the original Jason defeated Darkson, he had been lurking. He may have survived the Relic's judgment, but that didn't stop him from needing to heal. Darkson was there when our Jason was killed and he waited. The moment the imposter left, Darkson went in and gathered the original Jason's fading energy. Remember that whole pattern about possessed objects? Yeah? Well, it seems Darkson did as well. He used this unorthodox fact to gather our Jason's energy into a golden candle, which he later transferred over to the championship belt. Darkson had gathered the original Jason and it seems he was after the new one too, currently residing in JayJanLee. The belt was set to release the prisoners in 2 days, but something else happened that Darkson hadn't accounted for. The belt rebelled against him. That's right, being combined with another's internal energy now, that being the imposter Jason, he unleashed a grand technique meant to protect it. Darkson lost complete sight of the belt's whereabouts, but that wasn't all. This space he was now in didn't allow him to leave, but also didn't allow him to draw closer to the belt. It was a space that didn't make sense, a glitch part of the world. A large portion of JayJanLee was completely engulfed in this phenomenon, the sky showing what seemed to be memories. People who lived in JayJanLee, stuck in a loop of whatever they were doing. It was all a protection mechanism for Darkson to not get his hands on the belt. However, that is the only phenomenon that transpired there. You see, the unfocused burst of energy that created the glitch part of the world gave the people that died in JayJanLee a second chance. Everyone's internal energy was pulled back to their deceased bodies, but they weren't immediately able to control it. No, for them to gain back control over their deceased bodies, the manifestations of their internal energies needed to battle against their manifestations of death. Some may have hid away, or some died trying, but there was only one who managed to defeat this beast and wake up in the glitch part of the world. The clickbait hunter. Now, that doesn't make much sense, does it? He managed to wake up, but he was never dead, right? I guess that means it's time to backtrack a bit. Back to the time the original Jason was trapped in Darkson's space. As Clickbait Hunter's name spread throughout the land, Beastmaster 44 asked for his expertise on a certain mission. He needed his help, tracking down a certain hero who had been missing for decades. One of the combatants of the legendary UL tournament, Captain Goku. He was so popular, a television show was made about him, but since he suddenly disappeared, there's only ever been one episode. Thinking Captain Goku may have disappeared after getting a huge paycheck, the Clickbait Hunter agreed to work with Beastmaster 44. Right then and there, Beastmaster got a call. Jason called him from Darkson space and provoked the Beastmaster into coming for him. Jason told Beastmaster where his slumbered body was at, doxing himself to lure Beastmaster towards him. Beastmaster's urge for justice came back. He always wanted to take out Jason, and now he had the chance to. Only, the Clickbait Hunter was with him now. Seeing the Hunter as a hindrance for his personal mission, he took him out, shooting him in the back of his skull. Which now arrives us back at where we were. Clickbait Hunter waking up from his death-defying dream. Clickbait Hunter was the only one who managed to defeat this manifestation of death, but others weren't so lucky. Cowboy Jackson hid away from it, leaving him stuck in a loop. Due to Darkson's presence in the glitched part of the world, Beastmaster's body, who was still located in Darkson space obviously, gained a similar chance, only he failed to defeat his manifestation on death and failed to gain control over his body. The Clickbait Hunter, who was now awake, tried to make sense of the space but was completely stumped in the end. Whenever he went out of bounds, he got teleported to another spot. At one point, he even got attacked by a masked individual. He managed to defeat it, but the attack pushed him out of bounds again, teleporting him to a familiar backyard. This was Jason's backyard, which was also inside the radius of the glitched part of the world. There he found Jackson, stuck in an endless loop, but more importantly, he found the guy that took him out once. The guy who failed to wake up his deceased body and is now stuck in this strange space as a ghost. Beastmaster 44. Seeing Beastmaster dead, Clickbait Hunter knew karma had caught up to him and decided to work together with him once again. Because Beastmaster had a plan to possibly undo this glitch. His plan went as followed. Get to a high enough position, lay contact with one of these memories in the sky, and to gain access to a certain one. They needed to wake up Jason. They did as followed, but once arrived at that high enough spot, they got attacked by a figure Clickbait Hunter had seen before, the masked individual. Taking both of them out, the masked man now tried to warn Clickbait Hunter about the memory they were about to interact with, but before he could finish his sentence, Beastmaster snuck a shot and took him out. For now. The masked individual's words lingered in the hunter's mind, but they weren't enough to stop him from interacting with the memory. A gateway to one of the deceased dreams. The dream they were about to enter was the one they presumed was Jason's. But this wasn't the same deceased dream as the ones they had. Instead, it was a separate reality, specifically created by the belt for this person to reside in. In that reality, they managed to trick fate itself. Why is that, you ask? Because they simulated an interaction with someone. An old man with old knowledge about enchanted bandanas. Some could shoot fire, some could stop time for a few seconds. But there was one that, unlike the others, chose its wielder, bestowing them with great power. The person that's presumed to be Jason used the simulation to train with the old man, learn the usage of the bandanas, and unlock the one that chose its wielder. By creating such a realistic simulation, the bandana was tricked and chose a wielder he thought was the right call. But we will later find out that it wasn't at all. After the simulation ended in a success, in came Beastmaster and the Clickbait Hunter who arrived after everything occurred. Both of them fired at the person they presumed to be Jason, waking him up from this reality by giving him a form of shock. Once they made it out too, they met up with the guy. But after they did, they were lost on what to do next. Both Beastmaster and Clickbait Hunter assumed Jason would have more answers, but by finding out he didn't, they were stuck. However, that wouldn't last very long, for you see, there's been a pattern going on. Just like how an alternate reality was created specifically for Jason, the glitched part of the world sucked him into a memory, more precisely, Dark Souls memories. There, the one we presumed is Jason saw it all. All the things Darkson did to when he lost his grasp on the belt. Once the one they presume as Jason woke up from the memory, he told the other two where they needed to go. After a short travel, they arrived at the spot the championship belt was supposed to be. As Beastmaster 44 and Jason walked forwards, the clickbait hunter was pushed aside by the masked individual. Hidden in the bushes, the masked individual was finally able to say what he wanted to say. He wasn't just some mindless entity created by the glitch part of the world. He was a familiar face who got cursed by the belt on release. Behind the mask he couldn't pull off was Jason. Putting two and two together, the clickbait hunter realized the one that was with him all this time wasn't actually Jason. Which is why I was doing, this all this time, but Hurrying back to the two that went on ahead, the clickbait hunter told Beastmaster the story, but he didn't believe him. Beastmaster 44 was once again ready to take out the clickbait hunter. Only this time, he thought the hunter was being controlled. However, no fight broke out for one simple reason. The one we presumed was Jason revealed his true self, just like that. Another combatant of the legendary UL tournament who, similarly to Captain Goku, was missing since then. Anime Power. Having his hands on the belt, he no longer needed to hide himself. But what had happened to him? Why was he here? Well, Anime Power had a deceased dream of his own. That at least confirms that whatever happened to him, he was left dead around JayJanLee. Anime Power, similarly to Beastmaster and Clickbait Hunter, fought against his manifestation of death. Anime Power did not win that battle. Which should have meant he was doomed to never return to his body. Instead, the belt himself saved him and teleported Anime Power to the alternate reality where that simulation began. Anime Power had been continuously saved and protected by the belt, as the belt even helped him find this location. Well, if you remember whose energy resides in the belt, and the fight after that UL tournament all those years ago, that belt might have seen Anime Power as the only person he could trust. Obviously, the people that had been following Anime Power weren't about to let him go, but Anime Power simply teleported away. With the belt now in Anime Power's possession, Clickbait Hunter and Beastmaster were once again lost on what to do. But with the combined trust of two allies, Jason's curse was lifted and he was able to remove the mask. With a newfound determination, Jason led the charge. It was time to fight the belt head on. Meanwhile, Anime Power teleported to that high spot the crew was at earlier. By using the laws of the glitched area, he wanted to revive the one residing in the belt. Only, someone was already there, waiting. The one that started everything, but ended up losing sight of the belt. Darkson. He claimed ownership over the belt and wanted it back. Anime Power refused, and Darkson went in for the attack. Simply put, Anime Power was overwhelmed. Darkson was faster than his strengthened eyes could perceive, and Anime Power was made to look weak. Darkson had his own ideals and usage for the belt, but the belt itself had picked his side a long time ago, and once again blew Darkson away with a large burst of energy. And for the record, during the class trial he said he purposely lost. He didn't. Back to the story. By the time our crew arrived, Darkson had been blown down the hill. Darkson locked eyes with Jason and just smiled, before disappearing from the entire scene. Darkson was an anomaly himself, so he was the only one that could leave the space whenever he desired. But why did seeing Jason make him leave the entire area? Perhaps it was a certain thing that was awaiting him in the near future that Darkson foresaw. But with Darkson gone, the battle was about to commence. A large burst of energy came from the top of the hill, using the laws of the glitched area. The belt awoke, now having a body and a golden mask which hid his face. As Anime Power and the belt jumped down the hill, they made quick work of Clickbait Hunter and Beastmaster 44, turning their attention to Jason. The belt revealed a weapon that by all means should not exist. It was a special relic that the belt stole by transcending space and reality. He managed to break the fourth wall and slaughter the outro boys that used to dance around. Fun fact, these colored silhouettes you guys continuously see during this channel's outros, those are gravestones, in memory of the outro boys that fell that day. Back to the story. As they were about to take out Jason, Anime Power got hit by a pulse blast. They arrived just in time. Metal Man, Thunder Boy and the old man from Anime Power's simulations. Where did they come from? You might ask. Who are they? I understand your questions, so let's backtrack again. While JayJanLee was engulfed in this glitched area, the rest of the world was not. For example, a presidential election took place and a certain hero was going around and saving people. Or at least, trying to. Metal Man. A big emphasis on trying, because he was not good at his job. No patience, a short fuse, and constantly bickering with his artificial intelligence. Metal Man was far from the ideal hero. Even so, he managed to get the job done more often than not. But like every man has, Metal Man had his own personal mission too, and therefore needed an ancient artifact. Used in the ancient war years ago, it was rumored to have resurfaced, awaiting its very next user. What was the name of this ancient weapon? Mjolnir. For reasons still unknown, Metal Man needed Mjolnir and its power. Only, Mjolnir never changes his chosen one, and he had already fated that person to appear. The moment Metal Man arrived, someone was already there. This man was forgotten by society, who once tried to challenge the original Jason for his UL role. Yeah, I kinda glossed over that, because he wasn't really a threat. He lost quite badly. Mjolnir had chosen this guy to wield him, and so he did. But that obviously sparked a battle between Metal Man and the wielder who, back then, went by his first name, Thor. But we now know him as Thunder Boy, so forget that name. Their battle ended them up in the backyard of another familiar face. The old man with the ancient bandana knowledge, Captain Goku. His house was right on the border of JayJanLee. That means it fell just outside the radius of the glitched part of the world. After he successfully settled their differences, Captain Goku recruited the two heroes to enter the glitched part of the world and fix it. Back to the final battle that was about to commence. It commenced! Metal Man went from Anime Power. Beastmaster 44 Clickbait Hunter and Thunderboy all jumped the human manifestation of the belt. But the belt was almighty. Using the long forgotten style of energy, our group of warriors didn't stand a chance. None of them knew about the style, the fighting style backed by the universe itself. As the manifestation of the belt was set to unleash a massive attack, Captain Goku used his bandana to stop him. This was Jason's moment, to take aim at the frozen belt and shoot him with the relic of judgment. And so he did, and so it failed. Confusion written in his face, he asked Captain Goku why it didn't work. Was it because time was frozen? No, I can tell you that that wasn't the case. If anything, the relic did fire. Why didn't it work? You'll find out a little bit later. But for now, the stop time plan failed. Captain Goku lost control of the stop time and the belt's attack was sent out towards everyone. Using his skills in energy manipulation, the manifestation of the belt took control of the warriors that were spread around the battlefield, leaving Captain Goku and Jason as the only two left. The belt killed Captain Goku in cold blood, but not before Captain Goku could reveal something to Jason. The power of the captain's bandana always meant to go to this Jason, as it foresaw his future. Back in that fake reality, the belt and Anime Power tried to trick the bandana. It instead tricked them. Using Anime Power's faded path to be freed from the reality by Beastmaster and Clickbait Hunter, the captain's bandana made it out too and slowly found its path to the real Jason. Or still the invader Jason, but because the real Jason is dead now, but you get what I mean. Not Anime Power. Captain Goku left this Jason with that knowledge. The belt had struck down a legend in the game, but he wasn't done. He cursed Jason yet again, only this time it was an all-seeing doll, fated to keep tabs on him as the belt was about to banish Jason between dimensions. But Jason had an ace up his sleeve.
Je vergeet één ding. Ik heb een backup kanaal. Nee!
Because if we remember, this Jason wasn't the same Jason we started this story with. No. Similar to Darkson, this Jason came from a different universe. Which is why he knew a thing or two about portals. Letting himself fall into the portal that was supposed to banish him, he instead used it to guide himself to another universe. But this went unbeknownst to the manifestation of the belt, who thought he had won. The main universe was finally his, and he could become the UL once again. Wink wink. Jason managed his way to a familiar universe. In this universe, the UL was almighty, as everything revolved around him. His imagination was law there. Jason used this to his advantage as he wanted to create a weapon that could destroy everything the belt took over and fix the glitch part of the world. The universe's UL, where he was currently residing in, gladly helped his counterpart. However, there was but one problem. That doll. The doll he was cursed with prevented him to leave. So what was he to do? Well, luckily for Jason, the laws of the universe existed. Obviously, he looked exactly the same as the current universe's UL. So by confusing the cursed doll and letting it leash on the universe's UL instead, Jason managed to make it back to the main universe, now with that new weapon in hand. Before the belt could act, Jason pulled out his weapon and activated it. This weapon was able to temporarily remove people from existence, and it worked. It worked on everyone but one person, the manifestation of the belt. But why? Well, there's a simple explanation. The weapon was created by an UL and has been used by another UL. The reason the manifestation of the belt wasn't affected was because he was an UL too. There has been a long theory that the universe is somewhat sentient. Now, if that's actually true, who knows? Not me, I'm God, but I can. But it seems its law highly favors the universe leaders and the concept of energy. Since the weapon didn't work, Jason decided on a simple brawl of fists. And Jason won. He stole the belt's glitched out weapon and dealt the finishing blow. But which was meant to be a simple job, turned into a twist. The manifestation of the belt took off its mask and revealed himself to be Jason. And if you paid close attention, there was none other than the UL that started the story with us. The original Jason. The person Jason once replaced came back to haunt him, wanted to reclaim the position he took away from him. What started as a clash of fists developed into a clash of words. The invader Jason we had been following throughout the glitched part of the world told the original Jason he had to destroy his universe, while the original Jason didn't recall any such things. Jason's revenge was misplaced, and now he had struck down the original Jason. Even so, the original Jason wasn't in despair. He was no longer angry at this new Jason. All that Jason really did was avenge his home. The original Jason knew his UL reign was filled with many mistakes. He let revenge rule his heart once before, and it happened once again. In that final moment, he realized he wasn't fit for the title anymore. But the Jason before him was. That's when the original Jason held out his hand and offered up his internal energy to the new Jason. All his memories would reside within him, but the universe would start actually acknowledging the new Jason as the one and true UL. No one had ever done this before, so there was no telling what would happen after the other Jason agreed, but he did so anyway, able to recognize the original Jason's acceptance. So, the invader Jason absorbed the original Jason's internal energy and made it his own, and as he stood back up he used the weapon one final time to put everyone back in the main universe. The weapon ceased to exist. It had been overused, that's for one. But since it wasn't energy that originated from the main universe, the universe got rid of it. It erased it. However, that wasn't the only thing that ceased to exist. People that were stuck in the glitch part of the world, who couldn't escape their dream, also took their final breath. And Beastmaster 44 was already doomed to rise to the heavens after the belt was undone. Rest in peace to the fallen.
There he is. It is JayJanLee. Oh my God, look at that.
Hello people of Leeland. You may be aware, you may not be aware. I don't blame you because it hasn't been on the news at all. JayJanLee has been taken over by a mysterious force. That force was someone you all knew very well. The entire area was glitched out. No one could leave. It was messed up. The warriors of Leeland, the people you know very well, the people you do know, fixed the problem and came out victorious. Some lives, however, were lost. Captain Goku was found, now in a way older state, but he didn't make it out. He gave his life up for me. Beastmaster 44. I know a lot of you had mixed opinions about him, but his life was lost as well. You may be asking yourself, the people in the audience, the people watching at home, why? Why did our beloved UL announce this press conference, knowing that the problem was fixed? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I am not your beloved UL. I may look like him, I may sound like him, I bear his energy, his presence, his aura, but I'm not him. Not exactly. I am a Jason of another universe, but I am also the UL you all knew and loved.
No, you're not. Who are you?
We now share the same body. I wouldn't call this a 50-50, because my mind feels both like him and both like the Jason that wasn't him. But this is a new Jason that is standing in front of you. It may be confusing, but your beloved UL is both here and not here. I wanted to hold this press conference to put that in the air, to give you all that knowledge. Now, what may follow is up to you, is up to all of you.
Man, I don't care. I just paid his ass out. Man, shut up.
Thank you for your time. The original Jason, the first UL, he was a known figure around the entirety of both Leeland and Bukwanda, and despite his run being far from perfect, he was still their UL. So the opinion of the population became split. Some accepting of it, some despising of it. But Jason didn't care. Whichever side the people stood on, it was their decision. Both of the events we went over went by unnoticed to the population of Leeland. The world continued to move as many different things were happening. Firstly, over in Fagilla, a retired scientist going by the nickname Handbond was busy with a project he referred to as the UL project. I'm sure by now we are well versed in the significance of the title. The rest of the world was too, including Handbond. He wanted that title for himself by overpowering Jason in a fight, but that's easier said than done. He needed to get stronger first, to unlock a hidden state in the technique that was energy manipulation. Slowly making progress, Handbond was caught off guard by a person crashing near his house. That person was none other than Raven, the little brother of the version of Jason that invaded the universe and is now sharing a soul with the Jason we started the story with. So, Invader Jason. That guy. Seeing how Raven stood up from that massive crash with no wounds whatsoever, Hambot recognized him as a being of massive strength. That's when he updated his UL project, by testing his own skills against this new person. He'd firstly fight Raven himself to confirm his theory. Once that was confirmed, he started sending clones Raven's way. These clones were meant to fight Raven, study and save his abilities, and implement them into the actual Hambot. And so they did. But as that was happening in Valhalla, something else was transpiring while our warriors were still stuck in the glitch part of the world. I alluded to it before, but it was the presidential election. Unlike popular belief, the UL is not an actual universe leader. It's a figurative title that resembles the ace of the universe, the protector that could be called the strongest humanity has to offer. So the presidential elections were a go, and one of the candidates was a kid named Ben. Ben had potential, but was being overshadowed by the prodigy himself, Chuck Walls. But instead of putting on his A game, Ben chose to fake a expose video to put Chuck Walls in a bad light. And it worked. Ben became the president of Leeland in the near future. His win was spoiled by a mysterious man who appeared out of thin air from the future and stood before Ben in his own room. Wearing a beanie and a red sword on his back, the mysterious man warned Ben that if he kept going the way he was going, he'd have to kill him. Ben didn't want to give up on his presidential dream, so he chose to simply run away. By throwing his own hype man in the crossfire, he managed to escape the mysterious man. At least, the mysterious man was able to clear Chuck Walls' name and prove that exposed video to be false, chasing the near future and making him the winner instead. Chuck Walls is now our president, as many of you probably already know. So, while our warriors were busy in the glitch part of the world, we have a crazy scientist trying to become the UL in Valhalla, and an even crazier mysterious man trying to kill one of the presidential candidates. But, even now, there was still another man who was creating ruckus in his own right. The Snack Samurai. Bukwana was home to many different things, like the Tree of Life, the one I planted, the start of the mortals as we know them. One other thing that called Bukwana his home was the Bris Basta clan, that translates to the Wind's Breeze in Bukolian. So, the Wind's Breeze clan. While I'm not able to reveal many things about the clan just yet, if it can birth someone like Snack Samurai, you could probably figure the clan to be an elite force. The Snack Samurai traveled all over the world in search for the finest snacks, and if you didn't hand it over peacefully, he'd even kill for it. And if you even dared to share with him, instead of giving him the full piece, oh, he'd kill you even harder. Or so it seemed. Truth has it that many people have actually survived encounters with him. Coincidence? It's yet to be decided. A whole bunch of new problems that kept the police force busy. At least, until our warriors made it out of the glitch part of the world. Thunderboy and Metalman got tasked by the chief of the police force to help them with the mysterious man case. It was their job to find his target and keep him safe, aka Ben. But before we indulge into that side, let's first talk about what actually happened after Jason's press conference. The little clip you just saw. The UL went home, back to JayJanLee. For the first time, he felt lost. He tried hanging out with one of the original Jason's friends, but it didn't feel right. One half of him knew that friend well, the other half didn't know him at all. This new Jason didn't know who he was anymore, but he didn't get any time to truly think about it, as he started experiencing a lot of bad luck in quick succession. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone was messing with him. That someone invited Jason into his bad day heaven and revealed his name to be Joka. Jason was now under the same type of attack he once put the original Jason in. But he had a way out, for you see, his many bad luck moments had actually prematurely killed him, which led him to me. so he used this bad luck fact to his advantage and once again led himself to me, which is when I stopped this whole facade and stepped in. I banished that invader to a dimension between dimensions forever. But that day I realized how lost our beloved UL really was. I'm not one to step in too often, even though I'm kind of a known figure in Leeland actually. I'm not really just a concept in this universe to the mortals, they actually know me. But since he was the UL, a title I hold dear to me, I hold personal to me, I decided to at least test the waters. So I disguised myself as a PC mouse and tried to discover how he'd act in a unique situation. He showed his grit. He showed his cunning capabilities. Even though it was a small level threat, he proved to me he still had it in him. That same day, I met Darkson for the first time and he warned me. He said that he was my worst nightmare. I've had many such warnings, and although I didn't take it seriously back then, I soon found out that his words held a little more weight than I presumed. All of these different things happening all at once, Leeland was once again drowsed in chaos, and the minister of Bukwanda himself recognized it too. Bible Bansep therefore found a solution. In honor of the UL tournament, Bible decided to host a different kind of tournament, Super Power Football Battle, otherwise known as SPFB. This was meant to bring some peace to Leeland, but all it did was create even more chaos as Anime Power was allowed to enter. During Anime Power's silence, he had formed a one-sided alliance with Darkson, as he even gained some of his powers. He was tasked with creating even more chaos by disrupting the SPFB tournament with his ruthlessness. But what was the objective? All this chaos, but why? It turned out that all of this chaos was orchestrated by Darkson himself to keep our eyes off of something another one of his allies was preparing. Something that would be catastrophic to Leeland as we know it. During the SPFB tournament, Meadowman and Thunderboy managed to discover clues that led them right to Ben's whereabouts. This mission was still underway after all, as they discovered Ben managed to get himself a vacation house from a vacation house seller. That's where he hid himself from the mysterious man. But as everything seemed secure, apparently the mysterious man got clues of his own on where Ben's whereabouts were and found them. Meadowman and Thunderboy allowed Ben to flee as they were determined to take out the mysterious man. However, they failed. The two of them were not enough as the mysterious man danced around their attacks, almost like he knew exactly what they do. The fight didn't take long enough for Ben to make it far, as he only made it to the backyard. That's where he discovered that vacation house seller and one of his customers were still there, having a little scuffle of their own. After Ben pulled them apart, both of them offered to help him, as the customer knew a place they could flee to. Once they made it there, the mysterious man was awaiting their arrival. The vacation house seller charged at him in retaliation and grabbed a hold of his leg. The vacation house seller had a strange technique of his own, where he could force time itself to a halt, even though it usually only affects himself. By touching the mysterious man's leg, he forced him to a stopped state as well. Now the two of them were frozen in time, only able to be freed by outside interference. This is exactly when Ben and that customer made their way to the police office to report about the mysterious man. As they did, they met the chief of the police force, a top detective, Faxpeter. He himself realized there could be more to be discovered about this mysterious man and decided to host a trial. He invited Ben alongside various other names to figure this all out. The date was set, one day after the SPFB final. So, as the SPFB final commenced, Jason himself got out of the battle as the winner, defeating Anime Power who was steering the tournament into chaos. As the winner, Jason got pulled to the side by the press and even the president, which is why Anime Power took his spot in the trial. The trial began, a day after the SPF final, like promised. After going round and round in circles, literally, they all came to the conclusion that the mysterious man's identity was the seller that disappeared due to his own product. I alluded to it before. They concluded he was forced into the future and witnessed something horrible. We don't yet know what that event was. Even I have no idea what it was. Generally, but that seller went back into time to stop it from happening. However, during the trial, they discovered that Anime Power was indeed an ally to Darkson, having contributed a ton to the stirring chaos Leeland had been going through. Darkson himself revealed the contract they had after the trial was over and revealed something else with that. If he was ever discovered, Anime Power would die. So the rest of the trial was forced to witness this event, as Darkson ended Anime Power's story once and for all. Anime Power wasn't a good soul. He took out his own people after all. But he was slowly changing, even trying to help the original Jason get back his earned title. So even though it will be wrong for me to grant him a place in heaven, as a person, even a deity with a beating heart, rest in peace, Anime Power. The moment the trial ended, it seemed a lot of Leeland's chaos came to a halt as well. That meant the attention finally went to one big thing one of Darkson's allies was preparing. A massive meteor above the corner of JayJan City. It was made by someone I thought I banished forever, but was freed by Darkson. Joka. He needed the world to be distracted while he could prepare an attack like this. Apparently, to impress Darkson and make it into his paradise. Whatever that may be. Skit and the other members of the trial all went to the mysterious man and the vacation house seller to free them both and surround the mysterious man. Skit also chose to bring the vacation house customer alongside him, although it is more likely he was actually just followed by him, and I think that actually generally happened. There was a public train going there. Even I don't know why there was a public train going there, but it was. Skit revealed what they knew about the mysterious man and how they believed he had been manipulated by Darkson too. However, they weren't able to go full in depth on this, as all of their eyes laid upon the massive meteor in the distance. Joka needed time to create it, but now it was almost fully formed, so the warriors needed to act fast. Skit made Ben and the vacation house customer backtrack to notify the president himself, Chuck Walls. The rest of the warriors started making their way towards the meteor, as they knew a huge task awaited them. They all fought triumphantly, but were no match for Joka. This is because Joka used the skill of energy, the technique our past ULs, and the current one used in battle. The technique many heavy hitters, including me, are well versed in. Because this technique wasn't used by any of the warriors, they got taken out with little problem. The vacation house seller went into battle because his ability seemed useful, but he wasn't a fighter. He got taken out in the crossfire. But the one thing I can say for sure is that he went out as a true warrior. He became a warrior in the end. Rest in peace to the vacation house seller. As the situation seemed dire, Skit had already figured they were no match, which is exactly why he sent Ben and the vacation house customer to get the president. They managed to drag the fight long enough for Chuck Walls to arrive and save them in the nick of time. Apparently, Chuck always had tabs on the situation, including the meteor. But, ironically, the chaos Darkson orchestrated that was meant to distract Leeland from the meteor was deemed as a higher importance by the president himself than the meteor was. But it wasn't Chuck who stopped the meteor. No. He brought the UL with him. Apparently, after Jason won the SPFB tournament and met Chuck Walls, Chuck took it upon himself to shake him awake, to help Jason realize what he should be doing and who he should become. it was still a work in progress, but this new Jason at least managed to cut the media in half and stop it from crashing down. Joker's plan had failed, and Leeland was saved yet again. People were wounded. One life was lost. And although he preferred to have a moment's rest, Peter was immediately notified by one of his police officers about another scene over in Vagilla. A corpse. We are nearing the end of the recap, as we went over the 3 important events in this universe. However, if throughout it all, you still remember what exactly was happening in Vagilla, you know who this found corpse belonged to. Because during all the chaos that transpired around Leeland, Vagilla was still home to Raven's battles with the Handbond's clones. Raven, however, found his way out by stealing one of the clones' jackets and putting it on. The jacket revealed a path to him, a specific location the clones were meant to return to, which made Raven start approaching that spot. There, he found himself right underneath Handbond's apartment, where he stayed, as Raven immediately decided on ambushing Handbond. However, although Handbond wasn't planning on ending the Project UL test just yet, he still built up enough data to power himself up. That's when Handbond unlocked that hidden state we talked about. When absorbing all your external energy, you grow into your prime state. The strongest the universe allows you to get. Your maximum potential. For the first time, Raven felt true anger for Handbond, saying he didn't deserve this power. Things were different this time around, as Raven was no match for Handbond. He started beating him all over Vagilla, showing just how determined he was to become the new UL. Handbond walked away. He was confident he won. However, Raven wasn't down just yet. He had one more move still at his disposal. The only problem was, it meant he'd lose his own life. Now, do you guys still remember that ultimate weapon Jason once held? Since the universe didn't create it, the universe got rid of it by erasure. The same goes for mortals, which is why your internal energy is such an important thing here. Like I said before, it's your ID card. The literal proof of your existence. And no matter how cruel it may be, if your internal energy is not of this universe, the universe corrects its mistake. But like you may have guessed, ULs and deities, like me, are an exception of this rule. I hinted at it before, but Raven wasn't of this universe. He was the brother of the invader Jason after all, as both of them fled from a falling universe. Memories of Jason flew in Raven's head, revealing to us Jason performed some trick with his energy to keep Raven alive. But as Raven held his hand up in the sky to call upon external energy of his own, whatever shield Jason built for him was shattered in that moment. The battle evolved to a deathmatch, Raven determined to take Handbond with him to the afterlife. Raven, obviously, never used these attacks before. He couldn't. Handbond was no match for the data he wasn't able to collect, as the real Handbond this time was defeated by Raven. Raven realized the danger that Handbond could become, the danger he could become to his big brother and the rest of the world. He sacrificed himself for the greater good, despite his battles against Handbond's clones, and eventually Handbond himself going unnoticed to Leeland. An unsung hero is what he ended up being, but not to us. Rest in peace, Raven. And that is that. You are now fully caught up. We have arrived at the present. Peter is currently heading over to Vagilla to inspect Handbond's body. Raven's body was erased by the universe, so his body won't be there once Peter arrives. What will happen now? We will find together. But I do have a little hint. Something that happened throughout all the chaos I think it's still a part of this book actually. Let me search for it. Oh yeah, there we go. The President Chuck Walls and some police officers that were assigned to him found an android in hiding. As they tried to take it out, the android retaliated and even eliminated one of the officers. However, Chuck was quick enough to deactivate it before more lives were lost. A lot of androids have been hiding around Leeland as of late. That could spell trouble for warriors in the future. Congratulations! Now you are fully caught up. You are now well versed in the JayJanLee lore, and you have graduated from a beginner viewer. That's worthy of a thumbs up from God himself. What follows now for us is the continuation. We'll be watching how it all unfolds. And I'll leave you with this one question. Are you guys truly prepared for this ride?
Tension's going up, the piece is heading down, but you already knew what's up. Yeah, I did. The piece went further south. See it. He who started it disappeared as soon as it hit. Quickly it hit shit, but the resolve evolved when it hit a wave of the water. Yes, it silenced down when the noise became a bother. And we despised each other. Hear the wave of the water. Yes, it turned around to head somewhere nicer. The wave was silenced. Yeah, yeah. The wave guides me to a better life for my party. We'll go beyond our hills to reach where we wanna be. The rhythm of the wave guides me to a better life for my body. In order to keep the order, we have to act as the borders.